Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for October 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and while you're there, if you're interested in my Spiritual Warrior Weekend, which is live in Sarasota, Florida, or you can attend virtually, then check it out. You'll have an unforgettable journey, I can guarantee it, and I'm excited to meet you, so see it on my website. So what's going on in the month of October? I'm going to talk about the general transits, and I'm also going to talk about the things specific for Pisces. So let's talk about the energy specific for Pisces first. I'm calling the theme of this month specific for Pisces, Michelangelo's sculptures. Michelangelo was quoted as saying, when he was asked the question, how do you create such beautiful sculptures? And his answer was that he simply carves out from the block that he's working with the things that are not the statue. And this is a theme that for the short term and for the long term, that I want to put a seed in your mind to be thinking about this as it relates to everything in your life, but from the perspective of your evolution as an individual and your relationships, because we are the common denominator in our relationships, which means that if you notice you tend to have patterns where you draw in people that do certain things or act a certain way or certain situations, it would be easy to say, why do I draw in all these crazy people? Or, these people or whatever, blah, 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 to point the finger out. But with this short and long-term focus in the 7th and 8th houses that has been going on, that is continuing, there's a major opportunity for you to see that you are the common denominator. So if you have someone in your life now that's doing something that someone did 10 years ago, maybe you could say something about those two people that would be negative, but the path of empowerment would have you say, I'm the common denominator. And I am pulling this in. So what is it about me or my energy that is making me magnetic to this situation? Jupiter is moving into the 8th house for you early Pisces placements. I promised last month that I would get more into Jupiter. We had so much to talk about before. Jupiter has a 12-year orbit, so it spends about a year in each sign. And so then it spends about a year in each house. It's not exact. It depends on the size of your houses. It's complicated. But Jupiter moving into a different sign, which is the sign of relationships. So everybody is having Jupiter's expansion and focus on relationships. But Pisces is not only having it through the sign, you're also having it through the house. So you're having a double focus on relationships and relating to other people from this Jupiter transit, and it lasts about a year. So because it lasts a year and because there are 30 degrees in a sign, you will not have, you early, middle, and late degree placements are not going to have this start at the same time. Early degree placements, which are basically the February born Pisces, or if you're watching for your rising signs around 0 to 9 degrees, early degree placements, you will have this already have started to happen. Sometimes you can feel Jupiter transits like 3 months before they actually start. And it's definitely coming. It's going to be right in your face. Like I said, both through short-term placements of other planets moving through these houses, but also through this long-term. It's a theme. So you have the opportunity to go through and think about Michelangelo's story of carving out the things that are not you, which means that in your relationship sculpture, you carve out the things that are not the true representation of your highest expression in relationship. And that always starts with the self. Okay, so some other things that are really cool about Jupiter being in the 8th house. And this, again, if you're early degree placement, you're going to feel this sooner. If you're a middle degree placement, so like March 2nd through around the 11th or so, you'll start to feel this in a few months stronger. And you later degree placements, it will be well into next year that this is going to get stronger for you. But be excited because it's coming. Jupiter can clear up debt when it's in the 8th house. Jupiter can also give you expanded access to credit. It can increase or spark an interest in the occult or things involving psychology. Astrology is represented in 2 different houses in the chart. The 11th house from the perspective of the metaphysical or New Age view, and the 8th house from the perspective of the psychological view, using astrology as a tool for psychology. So anything expanding that space, deep looking into yourself and others, understanding what makes you tick, understanding what makes other people tick. The 8th house is also the house of intimacy, and it's another house of marriage. The 7th house, where you middle to late degree placements are still going to have a massive amount of energy for a long time, has to do with the one-on-one relationships. There are 2 partnership houses, 7th and 8th. The one-on-one relationships, the energy of that is in the 7th house. But then the deeper version of that, the legal contracts, the long-term commitment, the entrenchment, the coming together of your resources on every level, that is 8th house. So marriage, intimacy, anything having to do with sex, sexual issues, anything like that is 8th house. Something else fantastic about Jupiter in the 8th house is that it can make you more lucky. It can enhance your capacity to win money out of nowhere. I had a time, I'm lucky by nature, I have a lot of Sag in my chart and it brings that kind of luck. But I went through a period of time where everything I put my name in to win, I won it. And a friend of mine noticed this, and he wanted something at our company, thing that we were doing. And it wasn't something I was interested in. And so he said, will you put your name in and win it for me and give it to me? And so I said, sure. And I won it and I gave it to him. And retrospectively in my astrological studies, I looked back and Jupiter was in my 8th house at that time. So it's a really good example of just this added luck. So if you feel compelled to play the lotto, don't put all your paycheck in it or anything, or put yourself in a bad situation, or necessarily gamble important things away. I'm not advocating that, but you are more lucky when Jupiter is in this 8th house. Again, this starts for you earlier degree placements, and it doesn't start to get warmer for you middle or later degree placements until later into next year. This also is the house of inheritances. So someone passing away is not usually a good thing. So that's an unfortunate part about Jupiter being in the house of death, is that it can expand death and bring it closer to you. One of the upsides, possibly upside, of Jupiter being there is that it can bring inheritance money to you. If you have something pending, wrapped up in the court of chancery, your version of the court of chancery, meaning that it's just wrapped up and using resources to manifest being wrapped up. Jupiter being in the 8th house might give you access to the money finally. So some additional things just to remember for you middle to late degree placements, that before this energy gets really strong for you, you're going to have continued opportunity to find cooperation within your relationships, expansion for artistic and art, anything related to art or artistic endeavors, peace, peace within, peace with others. Also, Jupiter moving through the 7th house, as it is for the middle and late degree placements still. This is an amazing time for your public image and building a client base or expanding a client base or making new friends or associates. And it's also a wonderful time for your romantic relationships. Some people who have more than one romantic relationship and they're really busy with Jupiter in their 7th house. Others just have extra expansion within their one romantic relationship. Jupiter tends to add 2 things. So often people will either meet someone when Jupiter is in their 7th house, or if they already met the person, then they get engaged, or if they're already engaged and they get married, or that they have a child. It's additive. It adds to whatever you've already got. So you have that expansion at play for your relationship sector, which is a long-term theme for all of you. So those are the things specific for Pisces. And now I'm going to get more into detail about the need to knows for the general transits. We've got a lot of important things going on this month that will affect every sign, and I'm going to go into that now. I'm calling the theme of October intense impetus for new birth. So we know whenever we birth something, whether it's an actual child, or whether it's a creative project, or whether it's a new dimension of an experience, anything new often will come with birthing pains. And this month is full of opportunities to have birthing pains, or also described as the pressure that it either takes to step into a new experience, or the pressure it takes to birth something into the tangible dimension, into the this reality, the third dimension. So there are awesome opportunities for launches, for new things coming in. And actually, this is the first month in all of 2016, starting on October 7th and running through around December 2nd, the first few days in December, that we don't have a personal planet retrograde or a shadow interfering with a launch. There have been a couple of other launch phases that I've recommended this year, but neither of those two main phases were completely clear of retrogrades. But we do have to have some time before this time now in October where we were doing some things, launching new things. But this is the period of time now that it's wide open from the perspective of the personal planets being clear of retrograde. So this month is just like such a mixed bag because it has some beautiful aspects, actually even starting at the end of September. September 26th is the first one. I'll go into that. And straight through the end of the month, October 30th is my favorite day of the month for birthing, which I'll get more into that as well. But in between all of those openings for pushing things forth, moving things along, there is a lot of pressure and opposition, challenges. Sometimes it's the challenge, the opposite, that the thing opposing us that actually creates the intense impetus to do something different. And so we get comfortable in our lives and in circumstances, and sometimes it's easier to just let things be than it is to rock the boat in a way that you would have to be able to create a new life, to birth a project, to birth a new dimension of reality. So this month, it seems like it's completely astrologically designed to bring that pressure that's necessary for the new birth. So if you have brought something out at the end of September, or if you're preparing to launch something, just know you might have a little bit of touch and go before the energy is more clear. The energy gets more clear in November, or actually starting October 30th. So I'll give you some good dates that I really like for launching things. And know that if you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, that you get a more detailed review of the month ahead in writing, along with more dates and things that go on in those dates, and good dates and challenging dates, etc. So I'm giving you some summaries of some of the points here, but you can get more access to that a month ahead of time by signing up for my free newsletter. Okay, so October 1st, we have, well, actually, backtrack. September 26th is one of the most wonderful days of the year for expansion, growth, benevolence, luck. It just happens to be that we're kind of fresh off of Mercury going direct on September 22nd. So it's going to be a great launch date, but I'm putting some conditions in there. If you're launching something that is a relaunch, is a phase of something that is a short-term phase, is addressing something short-term, is like a leg of a journey or a piece of something, then September 26th is fabulous. If it's something that this is the unveiling, the first time someone is ever seeing it, you might want to wait until that October 30th date if you can help it, or at least into October, because you want that Mercury retrograde energy to be more clear when you're launching something for the first time or something long-term. Sometimes we fall under this misconception that you can't do anything in Mercury retrograde or shadow, and that's not true. You can do plenty of things, and you can check out my Mercury retrograde video to see more about that. But the things it mostly dictates is short-term ventures and legal contracts. That you want to avoid is long-term ventures and legal contracts, because the energies are murky and they're subject to change. So that's why I say if you've got something that's like a leg of a journey or something like that for a launch, then September 26th is amazing. Also, ultimately, you always have to trust your intuition and your own flow, because there are sometimes, very often, that personal transits in your personal chart will supersede things in the general transits, so that's a very important thing to note always when you're listening to astrological dates and forecasts. So September 26th is an amazing day. October 1st is another awesome day. Venus in Pisces is making a trine, which is the most favorable angle in astrology, to Neptune in Pisces, and that brings amazing healing and anything having to do with healing, the healing arts or artistic expression, and Venus, which rules love, beauty, and money. So that's a sweet angle. October 26th, we have Venus in Sag making a 60-degree angle to Jupiter in Libra. And a 60-degree angle is a favorable angle, but it's one that you often have to do something to activate its full glory. Sometimes trines will come and you can activate the energy as well, but sometimes they'll just bring blessings without you having to do much. But the 60-degree angle that we have on October 26th really wants some sort of action. So Venus combined with Jupiter is like love, beauty, money in a beautiful angle to expansion and growth and luck. So that's a sweet day. My favorite day of the month, and mark this with a big star in your calendar, is October 30th. We have a new moon at 18 degrees of Scorpio. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, and it also trines Neptune. So we've had a lot of new moons this year that have sort of been conflicted or afflicted with their energies because there were difficult angles going on at the same time. And you do have some challenging energy the days before the new moon, but by the time the new moon comes, most of that should be clear. So it's a really great launching pad for anything. You're free of the Mercury retrograde shadow at the beginning of the month. You're free of the challenging angles that dance throughout the month. And so it's just a really nice time. Okay, so there are more dates that I give in my newsletter that are good dates, with some more details there too. So some dates that will likely come with growing or birthing pains or challenges are October 5th, the 15th and 16th, the 19th, and the 28th, 29th. And again, like I said, there are more challenging dates throughout the month of October, which you can see the full list when you sign up for my newsletter, but I don't have time to go into all of them. There are just so many. So October 5th, we have Mars in Capricorn squaring Jupiter in Libra. When these planets come together in this angle, it can often lead to overpromising or having overpromised something and not being able to deliver it, or some sort of overextension of action or will. It could also manifest as obstacles in the way of you trying to do something. Mars is action, and when Jupiter is making a difficult angle, it's like you don't have the great expander on your side. It's being antagonistic. So you'll see some things come up there. October 15th and 16th, it's just like a powerhouse of challenge. I think that challenge can be a very, very, very positive thing. So the way I frame challenges, especially if you are being accountable for your own happiness, if you are taking responsibility for the quality of your experience, we can't control the things that will happen always, right? Very often it's completely out of our control, certain destined events. However, we can control the quality of our experience. And when we have challenges, it often causes us to activate that aspect of free will that we have in our charts and stand up for it and do something about it. And sometimes that takes pressure. So on October 15th and 16th, we have this is a yearly event. The Sun opposes Uranus. That makes a 180-degree angle, and it is a challenging angle. So things can come up that can be jostling, erratic people or inconsistencies interfering with something you're trying to do. Mercury is also squaring Pluto, so power figures, someone using their power not in a good way. That could be interfering with your personal expression. And October 16th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Aries, and this is a supermoon. This is the fourth supermoon of the year. We have 6 supermoons this year. A supermoon is when the moon is closer to the earth, and you can see it because the moon actually looks bigger. You ever look in the sky and say, whoa, the moon looks huge. It's like right there. That's a supermoon. And we're more affected by everything that the moon affects when there's a supermoon. The gravitational pull on the earth and its inhabitants are increased dramatically when the moon comes closer, especially when it comes into its fullness. So anything that would happen on a full moon will likely be magnified. So that could be lots of emotions, not only negative emotions, there could also be positive emotions. I've had many full moons where I was just brimming with joy, overflowing emotions that were happy. So we're not going to assume that every full moon has to bring some negative drama, although it tends to, because I always use the example of a dog when it gets wet. I love dogs. And when they get wet, they shake, 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 right? And if water represents emotion here, and it does in general, it's like at the full moon, we shake, shake, shake off the excess emotions that we don't process or deal with throughout the month. So this supermoon is in Aries, and one possible challenging aspect of this could bring a health impetus to focus on your health. So could that come through crisis? Yes, maybe, some sort of incident with your health or symptoms or something that maybe they were in the backdrop and then they just got up right in your face. Something like that. Something having to do with yourself, your self-esteem. A very positive aspect that could manifest with a full moon in Aries is amazing recognition and being thrown out into the limelight with it being all about you. Something coming to fruition, something coming to manifestation involving you and what you're doing and what your image is. And, so many people will be cast out in the limelight in this supermoon time. It's really important to note that these transits, even though I give you the dates of them, we can often feel them days before. And the bigger transits, we can feel them weeks or months before sometimes. But the transits that are present this month, you could feel them within days before or within days afterwards. I tend to feel things early. So most of the time when there's a challenging transit, before it comes, it's all right in front of me. And then by the time it actually comes, it's past already. The tension is past, kind of like when you're, when a race car driver is going around a track. And when it gets to the point, if you've ever done like go-karts or anything, then you're like excited to go forward, and then you have to slow down because there's that turn and it's awkward, and then you can zoom for the straight track. So that's similar, I liken it to that. So there's a lot of antagonistic energy at this time, but there's also a lot of chance for fruition, and there's a lot of pressure that's building that can facilitate your birthing of new things. The next transit that can be challenging is Mars and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn, and this occurs on October 19th. So when you have Mars, the god of war, and Pluto, the god of the underworld that rules birth, death, transformation, rebirth, atomic energy, get together, all of those traits will likely be magnified. Now, people can use that for good. People can have their ambitions soar during this transit and get thrown into a position, again, of recognition. There's a theme of this. But there could also be negative energy that brews to the point of verbal or even physical violence. People will be on edge, and angers and tensions may run high. So just be really careful around this time. Don't push anything, if there's a situation that could be sketchy, and just breathe. October 28th and 29th, Mars, again, is in an aspect with a planet that it doesn't work well with when it's in a square. So Mars square Uranus, especially in Aries, which is like this fiery catapult of energy, and Aries rules Mars. So there's again, this combination of this very forceful, assertive energy. So just be really careful with your actions and other people's actions. And, if things like, I went to the library the other day and I saw two security guards going up, like one called the other one, and I was like, that doesn't look like a good situation. I think I'm going to get out of this situation. Like that, just kind of be looking around for things that don't look right or feel right and distance yourself from them, and don't purposely put yourself in any situations that could be like that if you can help it. So those are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for October. Again, definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. I have a new blog on there for making powerful wishes for the new moon in Scorpio, specific for Scorpio wishes. You can advance your wishing power when you align the new moon wishes with the subjects of the sign that the new moon is in. So you can read more about that on my blog. And while you're there, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get more details the month ahead about the upcoming transits, often some additional details than I give in the horoscopes. While you're there, if you are looking to expand your monetary earning potential or magnetic potential, check out my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So you can click on my programs and check out my other programs in my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So I hope that you have a wonderful month of October. If you want to become a spiritual warrior, then you can check out my Spiritual Warrior Weekends. I'm having a live and virtual option for that experience in November. So you can see more of that on my website. Hope you have a wonderful month. See you soon. Bye.